Oh, you got
All right, we'll call the meeting of the City Council to order and state that the notice for this meeting was duly posted. There's a quorum of council, everyone's present, and if you will stand, where's our Boy Scout troop? All right, guys, come on up and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Boy Scout Troop 140. All, both of you.
Please repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't at least little silent prayer for the officers that have been lost in the line of duty here recently. It's unfortunate that we've lost those men and women, and we continue to pray for our own staff and our own police officers as they're out on the street every day. But I think we owe it to those that have lost their lives for a little silent prayer. We also lost one of our employees this past weekend. Ebony G., who is worked in our Parks Department, and somebody that you all have probably seen a lot because Ebony worked with my Mayor's Youth Commission quite a bit and kind of headed that up, and unfortunately we lost her this past weekend. So we'll say a little silent prayer for those officers and for Ebony and her family. Thank you. All right, Wynn.
Mayor Rowan, I, Wynn Garrett, from the Council of the Lipan Apache Nation, present you a token of appreciation for your leadership, your tutelage, and everything you've done for East Fort Bend and Fort Bend County. I can't say how much I appreciate your leadership. Being an elected official, I know how it is to be on a little bit of the shoes, but this is a sign of gratitude from me to you. It took me quite a few hours to make that arrowhead. This arrowhead is a token. What it does is gives an individual lodging, medicine, protection from an Apache. In the old days, if you had this, it could have saved your life. Now we give them out to leaders and people that are civic minded. And my goodness, Maryland has done that over the years. He's weathered elections, he's weathered politics, and he's always come out ahead. And this is the least I can do for a man that's given so much his life, because it is a sacrifice. I feel it too. I've been in it for 15 years now. I'm not even in his living here, but I can appreciate what his wife and his family have given up so this man could serve his community. Yeah?
Thank you. That means I'm now brothers with Don.
Yes.
Yeah, Don has one of these too.
Don got something very similar, the same arrowhead, June 19th. I'm going to a sweat lodge every 2 years. For 48 hours, I don't come out. I drink water, no food. And we get stones that we make these arrowheads for people like Mayor Rowan. It's an honor to give these men what I just did.
Tell them a little bit about your family.
Well, I might get thrown in jail. There's a couple of police officers.
No, what they did for the military.
Well, my father was he was a radio man. We go back in the first struggle of battle to the Civil War. And we fought in every war ever since then. We do sacrifice for a country that is our country. And we're sharing it with everybody that comes if you understand what I'm saying, somebody's coming to your house and I'm sharing the business with you. We are still sacrificing the 16 years of what overseas in the last women and men that fought. But yes, my father gave it up. 16 girls joined the Marines right after the bombs fell on the hall. I've been in my uncle, man, with a little bit of food, a little bit of clothes, a little bit of something to eat, and a little bit of belly to chicken. So everybody jumped on a flatbed truck, went into McAllen, and they joined the Marines. And that was my dad, so he had a lot more than that. I appreciate this moment to give your mayor this arrowhead and House member Don Smith, and I can't tell you how much I really appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thank
Okay,
you.
my
very-
We are,
Same tribe.
and I, with Alan, we call them white eyes.
This is a ceremonial when they go to giving us arrowhead.
I don't get that.
It took 50 years to get it.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Ann.
Anyway, I'll give you a little bit of history on this one, generation.
Sharp.
And for somebody that's in here.
No.
You don't carry it?
I haven't had that.
You're supposed to wear it.
It's sharp.
Wear it. You can wear it.
Oh, it's sharp.
You wearing like a missionary?
Yeah.
Police officers, the first responders.
Michigan,
Thank you so
if you
much.
want to.
Oh, you can look at
You do.
Tom,
Hey,
love you.
thank you.
Thank you, man.
How the Stafford
How
they
do
have
you,
a.
how do you do?
I'm fine.
You at the head.
And let me just say, we have a very good working relationship with the city of Stafford and Wynn and the mayor and the rest of the council people. We probably work closer than any other cities in Fort Bend. And that recent flood, I actually called the mayor and told him we needed some barricades for the road, and he said, I got as many as you want. And he said, if you need me at 3 o'clock in the morning, call me. So that's the relationship that we have with people like Wynn and the city of Stafford. So we have some people that high-paid volunteers, highly paid. They're going to get twice as much this year as they got last year. Yeah, it's you know, it's the way it goes. But we have people that have volunteered their time and their services to serve on different boards and commissions for the city. And let me just say that, you know, the city could not operate without our boards and commissions and our volunteers and people that decide to give their time back to the city. Some of them more ways than others. Some serve on council and get back on commissions. Some people just, you know, serve in different ways. And I see our fire chief is, what are you back spying on us, Russell? Our former fire chief's back here. Okay, very good, Russell. Nice to have you back with us. Anyway, J.R. Edkins, if you'll come up, and Eunice Ryder, Raymond Guerrera, Don Johnson, and Buddy Snyder. Everybody will come on up. Let's see, there, this is yours. Thanks, sir. Eunice, this one's yours. Thank you. My neighbor's his. Don. And Buddy. All right. Now, each of you all have different positions, so I'm going to say I, and you're going to state your name, and then when we get to the office of, you can read what's on your deed. So, if you'll raise your right hand, Repeat after me. I
I, Eunice Ryder,
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that
and
I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of Parks
Community
Boards for the city of
Development
Missouri
Authority
City,
Committee.
there you do, of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. You all will sign your oath. Secretary has a- Okay? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Don wanted to say that JR is a former student of his. How long ago was that, JR? Just a couple of years ago, wasn't it, JR?
That's right, and it's like 2 years ago.
Okay.
I really should have his mother up because my mother was helper during that.
They always are.
How are you? I kept it.
Good evening. How you doing?
I need to pay.
No, how you?
That's you.
That's a classy lady.
Come on back.
Very ethical.
So who's doing the next one? Oh, I think Russell came back to see how you could perform. Huh?
We're fixing to see. Mayor and council, good evening. I'm not going to take a lot of time. We've got some folks here to give some presentations, give some plaques to the city that are pretty important. I'm going to introduce the former Fire Chief Russell Sander, who this grading and all of these things, they occurred under his command here. So I'm going to let him come up and share some of the things that got us to this point, and then we'll let the officials take over. Russell Sander. Thank you, President.
Mayor and council, thank you very much for allowing me to come back and present and be part of this presentation. But I also bring greetings from the Highland Lakes. They are full, and there are a lot of boats out there on the weekends, trust
A
me.
lot of deer in your backyard.
There are a lot of deer. In fact, this morning I stopped and took pictures of, in one front yard, I counted 8, no less than 8-point bucks landing in that yard. So it was deer hunter's paradise, but unfortunately inside the city I can't shoot them. Anyway, we're here to talk about the awarding of an ISO Class 1 to the city of Missouri City. 10 years ago when I took over as fire chief, we had just received a rating of a Class 3. Over the past 10 years, we have put a lot of things in motion, thanks to council and the leadership of Missouri City, to obtain that Class 1. Class 1 is the best that you can get. Things that we have done is instituted the Quint concept, where we have 50% of our resources are ladder trucks that also operate as a fire engine. We've added a new fire station in Sienna with Fire Station 5. We've added additional personnel through things like the squad program, where council's approval of that actually added manpower back to the shift. The prevention division, we added fire inspectors and investigators into there. The cooperation that we had with the school districts to provide us the needed documentation from them to obtain this. Also, too, I think it would be remiss not to talk about, as the mayor talked about the city of Stafford, the relationships that we have with Stafford and Sugar Land and their help and providing us assistance, and we providing them assistance through our automatic aid agreements. But also, too, we need to think about the communications department and the police department. The 911 Communication Center is a part of this grading. It's an overall community grading, not just of the fire department. And those professionals sitting behind the desk and answer your 911 calls, get the calls out very quickly, have an integral part in this rating. But also, too, is the cooperation that Assistant City Manager Scott Elmer has worked with the MUD districts and to improve the water supplies in our community, throughout the community, because that is also, very important to put out a fire. So those cooperations and those efforts over the past 10 years has allowed us as a Missouri city to obtain that Class 1. And let me tell you, it's something that's very unique for any community. There are less than 100 cities across this nation that have an ISO Class 1. And that means to you as citizens that you should see some insurance savings on your insurance once this goes into effect. So that's just kind of what we got here for. And it was a plan that we put in place 10 years ago, and we actually got to see it come to about, and it was really nice to receive that information right before I left Missouri City. Once again, thanks for allowing me to come back. I'd like to introduce Philip Bradley with ISO. Philip?
Every city's different, and I'm not real sure how it works here, but what I'd prefer to do is pull to the side so I can address the audience and the city council at the same time. My name is Philip Bradley, and I am the regional manager for ISO. I'd like to tell you a little bit about ISO before I begin. We're not a state agency. We're not a regulatory authority. What we are is a private data collections company and data analytics company that services the insurance industry countrywide. And we have one of the parts that we perform is we evaluate the fire protection that communities provide. We have classifications on roughly 48,000 communities across the country. Of those, 35 in Texas are Class 1 currently. I noticed that you mentioned there's 100. We've had several more recently. We're up to about 180 communities countrywide, but still this puts Missouri City in the top echelon of the country and the top 1% of all the communities that we have evaluated. This is a tremendous designation to put on the city. Represents not only the fire department, but as you mentioned, the water supply, the communications, the fire marshal, the building official activities. I'd be remiss if I didn't address the city council and the city administration as well, because without the funding and support that you provide, this wouldn't be possible for any of them. We think it's a big deal, and so we like to have a plaque to present to the mayor to do that. But what I'm going to suggest is Jesse also will come up and do a presentation. But before I run off of that, you mentioned that this will impact insurance rates. The fire departments provide better fire protection. We correlate that into a classification, provide that to the insurance companies. Insurance companies will modify both their commercial and homeowners policy premiums based on the fire protection the community provides and the classification that we assign. So this is a big deal. It will become effective August 1st. So I encourage everybody to be very proud of your new designation, but also check your insurance policy and make sure that anything after August 1st, that this is being reflected on it, because this should correlate to some nice insurance reductions as well. I'm going to wait for Jesse, and I'll just step to the side, and then we'll do some plaque presentations.
Thank you. On behalf of the Texas Department of Insurance, as Philip said, this is a big deal. 35 communities in Texas are a Class 1 now. So out of about 3,500 surveys that's been done in Texas, we have 35 of them that are a Class 1. This is good. You as a city should be proud of the work that you as a community is doing to make sure the citizens are safer and have a safe place to live and work. As Philip said, better fire protection means lower insurance rates. Their statistics show that communities that have a better ISO rating have a bigger reduction in loss of life and property when a fire does occur. This is good for the citizens of Missouri City and good for the insurance industry. It's one thing to say that you're a Class 1 community, you're the best. But it's another when you have a third party come in and validate that. It's not just Missouri City saying it, it's not the state saying it. It's ISO, after their hard work here at the city, doing the survey, gathering all the information from the water department, the fire marshal's office, the 911 communication, everything goes into fire department, goes into the grading. So it's very detailed and information that they do gather. We encourage you to make sure that all of the citizens within your city are aware of the Class 1 designation and the effective date. The effective date, as Mr. Bradley said, is August the 1st. Again, congratulations on achieving the Class 1. On behalf of the Commissioner of Insurance, David Maddox, and the State Fire Marshal, Chris Keneally, we would like to officially present and award the Class 1 rating, present a plaque and award the Class 1 rating to the city, to the mayor. ISO does the survey. The Texas Department of Insurance, Office of State Fire Marshal, is the regulatory authority. We're the ones that approve or deny those recommendations based on the survey. After we've looked at everything, we agree Class 1 is appropriate. Mayor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Come over here. Does every insurance company adhere to this?
Yes, in one way or the other.
Either you do or you don't.
One, two. So if one says they don't adhere to it, you need to know that?
There is one that does not use the PPCs, the public protection classifications. They call it subzone rating. It's the zone rating, and we tracked it. The zone rating 1 for Missouri City is going to be a PPC 1, so they pretty much track to be competitive. They do. On our award of achievement is presented to the Missouri City in official recognition of outstanding dedication in providing exemplary fire protection services to the community. The Texas State Fire Marshal's Office is pleased to award a Class 1.
This consent has,
Rating, if we've got any firefighters here.
They're here.
Any police, 911 communication, water department,
Tyler's name.
fire marshal types.
You got layers back there.
This is your show.
You got layers back there.
Yeah, hard, get some hardware up here.
We got one more coming. We got one more.
As we said, this is quite an achievement. It's a community-wide effort. You see the folks here that did a lot to make this happen.
All right, if we can shift to look this way, so I don't get that podium in the shot. Okay, ready, everybody? 1, 2, 3. We'll say one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you. Great to see you.
Chief, good to see you, man. Hey, Chief, good to see you.
Certainly.
I was sending a message to my insurance agent.
Tell him it's coming. He's filling you. Appreciate it. Congratulations. Hey, y'all worked hard for this.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you coming out so proud to come through and tell us.
Thank you.
I like that tie.
They give you the discount, but then they'll take up the
It's a couple $100.
Thank you, man, very much. We appreciate that. It's a great award for us and our recognition of our hard work of Russell and all the other people that were around when it happened. All right, item 4, public comments. This is an item for people to comment on anything. It's not an agenda item. I didn't have anyone sign up. Item 5, our staff report, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to again thank the men and women of our Fire and Rescue Services Department. They continue to provide exemplary service, and their work continues to be reflected as we were just fortunate to receive the ISO Class 1 rating, so I want to thank them again for their hard work. I want to also applaud Chief Campbell. He's really been working in his interim role and continuing a number of annual community outreach initiatives, such as our free home survey and open houses that assist in keeping our residents educated and engaged, so I appreciate his hard work and continuing excellence in the fire service. On the public safety front, as I stated in my city manager update, Missouri City is closely monitoring the national tragedies that have taken place across this country. I want to acknowledge the programs and also the events that have been held most recently. I know we've had a couple of council members to participate in forums. These events are held to strengthen existing community partnerships and build new ones. I want to also acknowledge our residents who have really taken time out of their busy schedule to show their support to our men and women in blue. We've placed some information on our website to show the outpouring of support, whether that's cookies, cakes, thank you cards, voicemails, and even visits to our public safety headquarters. So I want to say to our residents, we truly appreciate it, and I know our officers appreciate it as well. A recent Facebook post is also a testament to the strong community support that exists to our public safety personnel. In less than 10 days, the Public Safety Appreciation Post reached over 4,000 people with 251 reactions, 199 likes, 25 loves, received 5 comments, and those comments have been shared over 19 times. So I want to thank the council for your continued leadership and support and encouragement of our police force, because they're working hard to impact the lives of our citizens on a day-to-day basis. So I want to thank you. A reminder that July is Parks and Recreation Month. I know I saw Lawrence Turner out there. I know he wants to make sure that you guys know this. But let's all rededicate ourselves to getting fit and having fun utilizing the great events coordinated through our state-of-the-art Recreation and Tennis Center. Activities on tap for this month include a summer fitness series, which will be going on until August 19th. Classes include Zumba, cardio, kickboxing, boot camp, and yoga, so pre-registration is preferred. The Junior Tennis Summer Camp for players 7 to 17. All ability levels are welcome, and the volleyball competition clinics. These one-day clinics will focus on the fundamentals of volleyball. I didn't see pickleball, Councilmember Wyatt, but my hope is in the next year I'll try to learn that game. And finally, our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out. The mayor alluded to this earlier. The family of our beloved team member, Ebony Gee, who recently passed away. We salute her exemplary contributions of 14 years in programs such as the mayor alluded to earlier, the Mayor's Youth Commission. And Mayor, as you so eloquently stated earlier, she was loved by the kids and will be missed from all of us. And to the family of the crossing guard, Earl Nora, who faithfully assured the safety of students at the Austin Parkway Elementary School for many years, we want to say to them and his family that our thoughts and prayers go out to him as well. That concludes my report. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Yeah. Item 6 is a consent agenda. I want to remove 6B to be considered. Is there a motion to approve A and C?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Emery made the motion. Councilman Wyatt made the second. All those in favor, motion carries. And 6B, Mary Ann?
An ordinance of the City of Missouri City, Texas, amending Chapter 70 offenses of the Missouri City Code, amending regulations related to smoking, providing for repeal, providing a penalty, and providing for severability.
Thank you. Have you missed me?
Yeah.
It's been 2010 till we worked on the smoking ordinance last. And I was out cruising, and I heard you guys have moved forward without me, and that's exciting. So I'm Mary Ann Dazell. My address is 11 Staley Bridge Court, Sugar Land. I chair Tobacco Free Fort Bend. We are a county-wide coalition that promotes smoke-free and vape-free environments, and we educate the public about the harmful effects of nicotine and tobacco products. We represent a large group of healthcare agencies, from MD Anderson to American Lung, American Heart, American Heart, Lung, and Cancer, and lots of residents. And Linda couldn't be here today because it was her birthday, so she said to tell you hello. One, I'm here to thank you for considering adding the e-cigarettes to your smoking ordinance. We know how toxic it is, and I'm sure you realize all that. So that's exciting, and as a countywide coalition, we're excited because this will raise the bar countywide and hopefully send a message to our other cities. And as a former health educator in the public schools, I'm real concerned about the usage among our youth, and so this is a good, strong message to young people as well as to our adults that this is a serious, these are serious products that we need to consider. So thank you so much for considering banning it and adding it to your smoking ordinance and putting our public health first.
Thank you, Marion. Is there a motion?
I move to adopt.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. You had, I don't know who you put down in a second. There were 2 seconds. Jerry made one and so did Don. So either one.
It doesn't make any
Jointly.
difference. We
You
passed
put
it, that's the
jointly.
important thing.
And Councilman Preston actually made the motion, so. All right.
Excuse me, make it done. No big deal. We passed it, that's the important thing.
That's right. All right, item 7 are public hearings and related actions. There are no ordinances, so there are no public hearings. Item 8 are appointments.
Mayor and City Council, during today's special City Council meeting, City Council moved to appoint the following individuals to these boards. For the Charter Review Commission, Council moved to appoint Cheryl Sterling, Eunice Ryder, Scott Mosley, Robin Ellicat, and Joe Workman. For the Planning and Zoning Commission, Council moved to appoint Reginald Pearson and reappoint Courtney Johnson-Rose, Sonia Brown Marshall, and Lynn Goff Jr. For the Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals, Council moved to appoint George Johnson III and reappoint Bill Marshall, Roger Morris, and Pamela Johnson Gaskin. For the Zoning Board of Adjustment and Appeals, Council moved to appoint J.R. Atkins and reappoint Roger Morris, Scott Mosley, Cleotha Aldridge, and Sharon Jerica.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Councilman White made the motion, Councilman Smith made the second. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 9 are authorizations. 9A is to consider authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement with Kelly Kaluza, an associate for engineering and design services for the reconstruction of Ashmont Drive. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Does this include sidewalks?
That is something that we'll be bringing to council to make that decision. There are no sidewalks currently on Ashmont Drive, and there's none actually in the whole neighborhood. So that is the decision that we're going to bring to council for their consideration on that.
If we do that, I want to make sure that we talk to the people who's going to have it in their front yard.
Yes, sir. We're planning on a meeting with the public on this.
Because not everybody
out there.
wants sidewalks.
Yes, and that's where we want to bring this kind of as an overall policy statement to council on what get y'all feedback and desires on how y'all want to address this, because we'll have other areas as the future goes that currently don't have sidewalks.
And if they don't connect to anything, it's useless to put them in.
Well, but the other point to that is that we have some major street problems, you know, and they're right in terms of bringing it back, because the sidewalk issue is a bigger issue, infrastructure-wise, than just fixing streets.
No, I know.
And so we need to give some direction as to what, ultimately, to do sidewalks, we'll have to go to a bond issue. I mean, there's no way around that to get that done.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You need to ask the people who live on Ashmont whether they want a sidewalk or not.
Yes, sir, because it could have a dramatic impact on the grading of the front yard.
Absolutely, and their landscaping and everything else. Yeah.
But on the other hand, we ought to take in consideration
there are other streets in Meadow Creek that could probably use the help in getting the street fixed compared to putting sidewalks. in
Exactly.
Such as Quail Valley East.
No.
Waterfall, okay, which has some constructions issues. Now, not to say that we won't ever do sidewalks. I think we have to come back and talk about that and how we propose we're doing that.
Yeah, because I don't think there's any sidewalks in Meadow Creek.
No.
Period.
Except in, there's some in Section 5.
Scott, if we did, it's curb and gutter, right?
It is curb and gutter, yes, sir.
So if we did that, say, next month, and we wanted to add sidewalks in a year, are we talking about a major overhaul and more
Because the area on Ashmont was never designed for sidewalks, and because you have to meet certain cross-slope requirements, and you're trying to put a 5-foot sidewalk for ADA purposes in there, then you end up with probably some pretty significant regrading of the first 12 to 15, maybe even 20 feet of the property out there, and that could have an impact on landscaping. There's mailboxes to consider in that area, and a number of issues. It's doable, yes, sir, but it'd be real hard to retrofit. It's a lot easier and a lot more cost-effective if it's chosen to be done with the road rehab rather than at a later point on that, because of the amount of
But like
regrading.
Jerry said, don't spend the money on a sidewalk that goes nowhere when we got streets that need to be repaired.
And that's a consideration, because especially when you look at wheelchair ramps at intersections, you'd end up with certain changes from the city's standard, because you can't put a wheelchair ramp to nowheres anymore.
Shouldn't we do like for like? If you have a sidewalk, you get a sidewalk, and if you don't, you don't?
Can we do that now?
We could, and that's what we'll be looking at, bringing some type of
I don't
policy
want
statement to that effect to
Okay.
council.
You won't?
Scott, understanding that Ashmont is in District B, let me ask you a few questions.
Yes, sir.
This has been an issue, and it's highly on the priority list. That's why we're doing this right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, by us going through this discussion here, will that delay the engineering as far as?
No, it should not delay the engineering. Yes, at one point, we have to make a decision, and preferably fairly soon in the process, but there's a lot of survey work, there's a lot of work that can be done up front before we really have to pull that trigger. So we could get started with the engineering, the data collection, and the preliminary design, and address the sidewalk, over the next month or so.
Well, it's my understanding also that some of the homeowners in Meadow Creek have been contacted about this. You mentioned that there is a plan to reach out to the homeowners. Can you kind of tell me what you plan to do?
Well, we haven't made a firm date yet, but it's exactly that. We plan on reaching out to the homeowners association out there, establishing a meeting. We usually do this after we have our design engineer on board, so the design engineer can be there, get feedback from the homeowners on different project considerations on that. But one of the questions we will pose to the residents at that meeting would be, what is your desire on the sidewalk issue, so we can bring that information back to the council.
Okay. So I'm just trying to get a clear understanding. If it was decided that there will be sidewalks on Ashmont, then with the exception of Section 5, Ashmont will be the only section of Meadow Creek with sidewalks. Am I correct?
Yeah, that is correct, sir.
Okay. And if it's decided that we're going to continue with sidewalks throughout Meadow Creek, then where will the funds come from?
Well, right, at this point, the city has no identified funds for new sidewalk construction unless that sidewalk is done as part of a rehab project on a roadway. So at this time, we would have no funding identified for any additional sidewalks that are not related to a rehab project.
So chances are it might necessitate a bond.
Yes, sir.
Referendum.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're going to reach out to the HOAs pretty quickly on this, I guess.
Yes, sir. Now that assuming y'all approve this contract, we'll have the engineer on board, and we'll be able to reach out pretty quickly on that.
Very good.
My motion was to, we got a.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
Yeah. Okay.
To authorize to negotiate the agreement. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 9B is consider authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an amendment to the 2011 agreement with Tyler Technologies for software licenses for
That dude's smart. He is smart.
Gov. Yes, sir.
For Intergov, we would like to find the right solution for planning, and Intergov will provide that solution for the city. Right now, we have Munis in this place. We are intending to keep Munis for the financial parts of the solution, but we're paying about $180,000 to $200,000 a year for that. And I would like to purchase the licenses for $100,000, and then our annual fees would come down to about $72,000, which is a great
Makes sense.
savings. With Intergov, we will also do the exact same thing as purchase the license, and our annual will come down to about $23,000. But it will also reduce the Munis licenses when we do transition to this from $72,000 to $51,000.
You're a good man, Cedric.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Emery made the motion, Councilman Smith made the second. Is there more discussion?
I just had a quick question. What other cities are using this software?
Oh, there's a lot. League City, a few in Dallas, a few in San Antonio also. Actually, the city of San Antonio is utilizing it for their whole entire system.
And we've reached out to them to see how they liked it, or?
We had Munis for about 5 years.
Okay.
So this is a different way of payment, actually. We have leased our licenses, but it's better to own our
acquiring
licenses.
them now.
Okay.
Instead of paying that lease factor, which is $180,000 to $200,000 a year, we can reduce that to $72,000.
Okay.
Do we vote? All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 9C is consider authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an amendment to the 2011 agreement with Tyler Technologies for the annual licensing and hosting fees for Munis ERP software. Is there a motion?
Second.
Pro Tem Emery made the motion, Councilman Smith made the second. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 9D is consider authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement for executive recruitment services for a Public Works Department Director. Yes, sir.
Mayor and council, this item was brought up at the last council meeting and was tagged, so it's now on this council meeting agenda. It is staff's recommendation that we authorize the city manager to execute a contract with a executive search firm for the Public Works Director position. This is a vacant position that has been vacant in Public Works with assistant director, 2 assistant directors, city engineer, utilities manager, and a GIS position have all been vacant anywhere from 4 to 12 months in Public Works. We had performed one previous search that was unsuccessful at finding a candidate on that, and we're requesting that we go out and look at a search firm to hire a nationwide search for this position.
Move to adopt.
Councilman White made the motion, Mayor Pro Tem Emery made the second. Is there discussion?
I tagged this item last time, Anthony. I just didn't feel like we've done enough due diligence in-house. I don't think 3 months and $700 or whatever is enough for us to say to go out for a search firm. So that's basically why I tagged it.
And I know the city manager provided each of you with some background information. If you all want to discuss that, you can. Otherwise, we can vote.
Yeah, look, so, you know, I think we gave the reins to the city manager. We expect him to use the dollars that are available to him prudently. And if we could do things that in-house, that would be more efficient and more effective, you'd be doing that. So, you know, to me, you know, would take you for what you're recommending, and go forward with it.
I think what's also important is the urgency behind this. Scott's basically worn several hats over this last period of time, and unfortunately we we're kind of put in a corner to do this because of the timing, so.
Any other comments?
No, let's vote.
All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, ordinances, there are none. Item 11, resolutions, there are none. Item 12 are city council announcements. Chris, you have any? No. Jerry?
No.
Floyd? No. Yolanda? No. Anthony?
Thank you to the law enforcement around the world, and may there be peace one day. Thank you.
Don?
Yes, Mayor, I want to mention something. And I guess I've, on several occasions, has made commentaries about Texas Parkway and how it's been a political whooping child for quite some time. We are certainly excited to be a part of an initiative by Houston Community College and also the county, Fort Bend County, Houston Community College is erecting a state-of-the-art building right across the way from us, and also the county is remodeling the library. I think it's going to be three stories, and as you can see on the screen there, it looks pretty good. Matter of fact, both buildings look great. However, this initiative, and we feel confident that this is going to propel Texas Parkway. It's going to start something, the Texas Parkway, to be an area that all citizens of Missouri City can be proud of. And as you can see with these two buildings, it's a good beginning. However, there's another part of this three-pronged initiative, and that's City Hall. As you can see there. I've been fortunate enough to go to different cities in different states and also abroad, and when I became a public servant, one of the things that we made an effort to do is to, whatever city we were in, is to go to City Hall and to take a look at, how it was related to the city and how important it was to the city from an aesthetic standpoint and from a historical standpoint. As I come back home, it leaves to me a lot to be desired. Although this is home and it's what we feel is a good place to do business in, I think it's time to make some effort to improve upon it. City Hall needs to be rehabbed. It needs to be rebuilt. And now's the time to do this, in my opinion, simply because we've gone out and we've asked some other entities like HCC and also Fort Bend County to step up, and they're doing so. But right now, where we are in the conversation period, which in my opinion should be just a little bit more than that. This building here is was put together out of necessity. It's one building, and when the time came, they add another building to it, and on and on. This building is in dire need of repairs, as we have a building in Quail Valley that we are all so proud of. And I got to mention, I was really proud of the fact that it took us 90 days to get mobilized, to start erecting and planning for the Quail Valley City Center. But yet we remain stagnant as far as City Hall is concerned. We got our staff, when it rains hard, putting buckets down to collect water. And I can go on and on about what is needed here in this area right here. I've even heard a conversation about moving City Hall over to where the toll road and Highway 6 is, and to hear that really saddens me, because it eliminates the thinking about history, legacy, and all those other things cities think about to have a long-lasting, progressive city. I'm encouraging my staff to take a hard look at why should we rely on other entities to make this part of town something that we be proud of, and we're dragging our feet right now. Now, that may seem a little harsh in terms, but I've yet to see significant conversation as to what we're going to do with dates, deadlines, and the dollars that go along with it. We had a bond referendum back in 2014. Significant amount of conversation about where that money will be applied. And I think it's time for us to take a hard look at this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The only thing I've got is that Fort Bend Mayor and Council's meeting is in Kendleton this month. It is 28th. So put that on your calendar, 6:30. I think they're going to talk about the recent flood issues in Fort Bend County and some other things. So that's at the far end of the county, far down 59 as you can go. So hope to see you there. Huh?
Did they flood?
No, Kendleton didn't flood, no, but they're going to have people there talking about the flooding. We don't have executive session. Thank you all.